Manga-Waido.
I was hired as a graduate and have been working here for the last 3 years. I'm getting used to the work and recently have been put in charge of more demanding assignments. And it's all thanks to General Manager Yoshida. Our General Manager, Mr. Yoshida, is famous for being sharp and also strict with his subordinates. So much so that many people could not take it and requested to be transferred to other departments. I was in fact very grateful for his supervision because thanks to him, I can now work anywhere, confident in my own skills. One day during morning assembly, Mr. Yoshida appeared with a new female hire at our department. Hi guys, I'm Mariko Ito. I'm looking forward to working with you all. She was a typical girly girl. Even just hearing her introduce herself was enough to put me off her, but then...
This department doesn't have a lot of women. So Sasaki-kun, can I put you in charge of her?
I was chosen as the sacrificial lamb in charge of looking after her. And then there was just 2 of us. So you're Akari Sasaki. I can call you Akari-chan, right? Huh? You can call me Mari-chan. In the office, we're expected to refer to each other by our surname. That sounds a bit formal. Between the 2 of us, we should be a bit more casual and relaxed. She then proceeded to ask for my line ID, so I told her, it's office hours. Hearing that, she looked at me puzzled and annoyed. I'm the one who should be making that face right now. I calmed down and asked her to make me some copies, to which she replied, is that really one of my responsibilities? What? That's correct. It's your work. But that kind of work, anyone can do, no? Plus, it's so much. Someone has to do this type of work too. Otherwise, nothing will get done. I'm not too concerned about actually doing work. I'm only here because Dad said I had to work somewhere. Who's Dad? So, he's the company's president. We're basically related. Connections. So if you're too strict on me, you might get fired. Ha! Just listening to her makes my blood boil. Okay, well, I'll do this so I can ask you to do the data entry, please. I'll show you how to do it. And so began my mentoring days. Later, what is this? This girl has no intention of learning how to work. After a month of this, I was completely exhausted. The girl remained true to her word in all the wrong ways. If I told her to brew some tea for break time, she would say, women shouldn't have to do that nowadays. The person who wants tea should be the one who brews it. So I prepared tea for myself and for others who want it. To which she says, so no tea for me? That's not very considerate, is it? I'm going to tell Dad that I'm being left out. Even though I'm only giving her easy work, she still can't finish on time. I tell her she'll have to work overtime, to which she replies, I'm meeting friends today, so can't stay. See you tomorrow. I end up having to do the work for her. My exhaustion and stress levels are at an all-time peak. If I tell her to tidy up the storage room, she says, I have weak lungs and can't be in dusty environments. Having said that, I caught her smoking during break time with young male employees. Unable to hold back, I say, are you okay smoking, Ito-san? Yeah. If I don't smoke, I get really irritable. I thought you had weak lungs. Don't say that, Akari-chan. It's something I need, okay? Well, can I ask you to tidy up the storage room after lunch, please? Okay, fine. I was pleasantly surprised with her response until I opened the storage room and there is no sign of her. I look for her and find her on her phone, listening to something or other. Ito-san, can you do some work, please? I know you haven't been working. It's quite unacceptable, I told her in a slight harsh tone, to which she replies, I think I've told you this before. I don't have to do anything. I'm only here because my dad told me to be here. She says, laughing hysterically, I can't take much more of this. After work that day, San had left the office as always. I went to talk with General Manager Mr. Yoshida. Mr. Yoshida, I cannot handle Ito-san anymore. I told him all about her everyday behavior. However,
I don't care. She's a new hire, and you're her senior. It's your job to mentor her.
he said curtly, in which case, there's one point I would like to check. Is it true she was hired due to her connection?
Yes, that does seem to be the case. What of it?
Turns out my general manager was pretty useless. It seems pointless pursuing this matter any further. I just said, understood, and backed away. Following that, I was still unable to change her ways. All I could do was persistently insist that it was work and that she had to do it. One day, a few months later, I asked Ito-san to serve tea to a client, as there was nobody else I could ask. I'm not serving tea to that bald guy. That's not my responsibility, she said at a volume the client could hear. He then left. You took too long to serve the tea, Saki-san. I can't believe you're so careless after being here for 3 years already. This was it. This was the last straw. I've had enough. Hey? I'd rather you just not work at all. If you don't want to work, just go home. Ito-san was stood there frozen for a while. She then rushed to Mr. Yoshida's desk. Mr. Yoshida? Sasaki-san has told me to not work. This can't be allowed. Ito-san side-eyes me and gives me a smirk. Whatever. I don't care anymore. Just as I braced myself for the worst, Mr. Yoshida opened his mouth to speak.
The details I've heard from Sasaki-kun. Ito-kun, I was hoping your attitude towards work might change, but it seems as though it hasn't. Let me say this from my side. You no longer have to come into work tomorrow. You'll receive a termination notice from HR in due course.
Not able to believe what I was hearing, my mouth opened in astonishment. Ito-san then said, Do you seriously think you could speak to me like that? Check this out. I'm the woman who might one day become the wife of the company president.
Is that so? Kashima-kun?
Yes, sir?
Sorry to ask you this, but do you intend on getting married soon?
No. I recently broke up with my girlfriend.
Why are you asking about the relationship status of this nobody? Mr. Yoshida let out a heavy sigh.
Ito-kun, do you not even know the name of your company president? Kashima-kun, from our department, is the son of the president.
What? Dad said if I got into this department and behaved all womanly, then everything would be okay. So she's not related to the company president?
I think he thought that if I met you, I would fall in love with you.
It doesn't matter. If anything, things are much simpler now. I'm young and pretty, right? If you're single, then shall we get married? What is with this girl? However, Mr. Yoshida cut her off with a cold stare.
We've had enough of entertaining your fantasies. Go home!
He then said,
Back to work!
in a loud voice, and instantly changed the atmosphere in the office. Ito-san said, Wait until my father hears of this. She then left with tears in her eyes. She said that she'd speak to her father, but it turns out there had been a number of misunderstandings. While it was true that Ito-san's father's company had personal dealings with our company's president, in reality, the nature of the relationship was that of a contractor and subcontractor. When it came out that their president had been using his daughter to try to swindle us, the business relationship broke down. 6 months later, I was promoted, thanks to a recommendation from Mr. Yoshida. The president's son, Kashima-kun, is now my subordinate. And what happened with Ito-san? Her parents' company was not doing well, and so her mother talked with the president. At her mother's request, she was placed on the cleaning team. She now works under the strict supervision of a lady with many years of experience. Last year, she could barely introduce herself properly. This morning, she greeted me with a polite, "Good morning." I guess she needed that kind of education. So yeah, a lot has happened, but everything is working out now. I too must work hard to be a good boss.